Hello and welcome to another episode of Cycling Culture Club Connections. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Seb and Merida. Seb and Merida are really good friends, both living in Amsterdam, and both play a huge role in their respective communities. In this case, the queer community. Now, I've been trying to get these two on a podcast for a little while because their perspective on everything that they go through on a day-to-day basis, how they've used community to help connect people and find themselves has been incredibly inspiring throughout this journey. Of all the conversations I've had so far, I'd say this one was the one I was least comfortable having because after all, it's not my lived experience. So I was really honest with them about that, and I was met with compassion and energy and great vibes, which the two of them always bring. I really think you're going to enjoy this one. They're both spending a lot of their time talking to others about this topic, and this really comes across. They have bundles of energy, loads of great insight, and I hope you learn as much as I did in the hour that we spent together. Without further ado, I think we'll jump straight in. Of course, any feedback, please let me know. Enjoy.
Oh no, it's just coming.
We're just in. Hey guys.
Hello.
How's it going? Yeah, really well, thank you. We were just having a giggle off camera, off air, because when there's two guests, there's some interesting additional complexities that come in, and particularly guests like yourselves who know each other incredibly well. I'm excited to get into it. So I guess for the listeners and the viewers at home, can we get a quick introduction from each of you? Maybe Merida, should we start with you?
Sure. Hi everybody, my name is Merida. My pronouns are she, her. Originally from the US, but have been living in Amsterdam now for 8 years. I'm a cyclist, gravel racer, starting to be, and the founder of Project Fearless in the Netherlands. And we create after-school programs for girls and gender-fluid youth.
Cool.
Thanks very much. Go on, Seb.
Hi, I'm Sebastian, better known as Seb. My pronouns are they or he. LGBTQ+ cyclist, inclusion consultant, and started the first ever LGBTQ+ cycling club in the Netherlands called Queer Wheels. I work with Merida in the cycling community to make sure it's welcome for everyone.
There we go. I think probably the most succinct introductions we've ever had.
A lot.
Yeah.
Merida and I are doing a lot of education, I think. So
Yeah, a lot of public speaking.
Yeah, so we're quite good at
collabing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's typical that you start with education because, again, we were talking off air a bit about, what we hope to get out of a discussion like this and what we can bring to the people outside of the room. But I think just to make it super personal, like for me, I really find these conversations, not just with you guys, but with everybody who sits in front of me here, like I find the process of education like the most rewarding part of it all. And every time I sit down, I learn something new. I'm challenged, I'm interested, and it's the best job in the world, I think. The best job in the world that doesn't pay.
Yeah, I was like, I have the best. But yeah, go on.
You have the best. So yeah, I guess I'm keen to get a lot out of this conversation as we discuss, but I'll admit to the listeners as well that I feel slightly uncomfortable about sitting in front of you guys and talking about a lived experience that isn't my own, probably for the first time in this podcast history. So I hadn't really identified that in advance, but thinking about it now, I realize quite how comfortable I am talking about my own lived experience and how challenged I feel to talk about others. So I guess I ask you guys and anyone else listening to bear with me. It all comes from a good place, and there's so much that we've got to cover today. So I'm super excited.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's very normal to be worried or have some trepidation or fear about topics that you don't know about. And especially with what we see in the media and online at the moment with LGBTQ+ topics, it can seem very scary and it can put people off talking about it. But we're fun.
It means you care, and it means that you're like, it also is just incredibly brave to put the space out there, because it's one thing to be like, oh, I care, I don't want to do anything to make a mistake, but then it's another to say, okay, I understand I may make a mistake, but that's learning, right? You're always failing forward, whether it's in math or skateboarding or having open conversations. So being ready to accept that was a wrong, I'll make it right next time is also really.
And making mistakes is totally great. It's how we learn. And saying sorry and moving on is the...
You can tell you guys are both consultants. I feel like I'm in an interview.
Do you believe in yourself now?
Do you feel comfortable? I think it's also really cool to admit it, to like, throw that fear away by giving it a name as well. So kudos.
Good job.
I'm also nervous as well.
I'm not. I feel
good. Always head cheerleader over here. So guys, I mean, if the listeners haven't figured it out already, you guys are very clearly fierce friends. Should we start at the top? Like, how do you guys know each other? Where did your paths cross first time? And And give us a bit about your individual projects and how they cross over too. I think that's super interesting.
How did we meet? Through cycling.
Through cycling.
Mm-hmm.
So Seb and I actually dated. So that's how our friendship started.
Yeah.
Is that we met through cycling,
Mm-hmm.
through No Ordinary Women and through Rafa, where Seb was working. And Seb was starting the Rafa 101, and I became on a ride leader for the 101s. And the 101 was like a level up from a beginner entry course. And then we dated for a little bit, like a very short period. And then quickly we're like, okay, we're way better friends at this. And then our friendship just like, I think grew from there. And that was just such a awesome thing. And then I think we both, created, at least I feel like we've created a really special place for our friendship, through lived experiences, through cycling, through the various work, like Project Fearless, Queer Wheels, your consultancy has created this like really deep understanding from the core of who we are as impact makers and as cyclists and as people in the queer community.
Merida said it all. Yeah, we used to date, which is fun. But yeah, we work so well as very close friends, and I think, I just second everything Merida said, and that we have a lot of crossovers in our passions and what we care about, because we care about people, and we care about people feeling good about themselves and feeling like they belong.
Yeah.
So that's why we work so well together.
No, thanks, guys. Now, belonging is really critical, and I think it's part of the reason we're sat here today, right? It's part of the reason we know each other. We didn't know each other before this journey, which I think is, it's a trademark to what we've managed to achieve already. But I think that idea of belonging and community is where you're both very intrinsically linked, and particularly in your local community. And I know it's super important to the pair of you. I'd love to hear and sort of dig in individually, because I know your projects each deserve their own space. And I mean, Seb, do you want to just tell us a bit about Queer Wheels and how that began, and what you do for your local community?
Sure. Queer Wheels has been something I always wanted to start. When I first started cycling many, many years ago, I've been cycling for about 14 years now. I'm from Scotland, for context. I didn't say earlier, actually. I'm from Glasgow, but I lived in London for 6 years, and I've lived here for 6 years now. When I first started cycling, before my transition, I couldn't find anywhere that I fit in. And then still, I don't know, moving to the Netherlands, which is meant to be very LGBTQ plus friendly, I still didn't really feel that I found anywhere that I could fit in. But this was pre-pandemic, so this was before all of the clubs that exist now that we've created existed. So now they do. So Queer Wheels was really started out of my own need, which I think quite a lot of these initiatives are. We have a need for connection. We have a need for feeling that we can be ourselves in our sport and in who we are on the bike. That's really, really important. So Queer Wheels I started for me, but obviously you soon realize that there are so many other people that feel the same way. So Queer Wheels at the moment is the only active LGBTQ plus cycling club in the Netherlands, which is really surprising. I think people think that the Netherlands is very queer friendly.
I have that feeling too.
But it's not as much as you think it is. And there's lots of many initiatives, but things quite aren't as bright and shiny as you think when you first move here. However, Queer Wheels has been amazing. I started it 4 years ago now, and it's one of the best things I've ever done in my life, is making this community. We now have about 45 active riders that come and ride with us. We ride between May and September. We run rides mainly for beginners and very chill social rides as well, because I found that a lot of the LGBTQ plus community are still, because people feel so unwelcome in cycling, people are still at a very beginner, very unsure, anxious level. So we make it as easiest a barrier to entry and just try and get more people on bikes. And we are exclusively for LGBT plus people. We do that because we feel that it's safer. People feel safer when they know that they are going to be recognised and they don't have to explain themselves. But we do a really fun Pride Ride every year, which everyone's welcome to, which is in a few weeks actually as well. So it's very exciting. But yeah, Queer Wheels has been great. But I mean, how we know each other is through No Ordinary Women, which I'm sure Merida can also explain as well.
I can speak on. So
perfect segue.
Yeah, perfect segue.
Really
we're pros.
We're really good so No Ordinary Women. I cannot take founder status on this one. This was by Emmy and Oster, who are two Dutch women who founded No Ordinary Women Cycling Club, or we call it now. and in 2020,
Yeah,
Seb was one of
I was there.
the original crewmates. And the idea was, again, like what Seb said, was creating a space where you felt safe to belong, and also a place that you could meet other like-minded, or in this case also like leveled, so like cycling level, of women and non-binary people who really wanted to push themselves faster, further, who wanted a core group who met up every week, who were kind of tired of being the only woman or non-binary person in a cycling group. Because the Amsterdam and the Netherlands, like, although I know that compared to a lot of cities or countries, it still has more marginalized genders showing up on bike, but there's still less women out on the roads. Like, I was out on yesterday riding by myself, and I think I saw three women cyclists when I was passing them. And so Aster and Emmy wanted to create a space for non-binary people to meet up every week, same route, push each other a little bit further, a little bit faster, share techniques, share tips. And it's just grown. So I joined in 2023, I believe, because I just started cycling.
Feels like longer.
I know.
Feels like you've been there forever.
I know. Well, because it was very small at the beginning.
Yeah, it was.
And then I remember when I was like, a beginner cyclist, I saw it now, and I was like, oh God, that's goals. Like, I want to be part of that group. Yeah.
Gosh, I can't believe that.
So I got to my goals and showed up, and was just met with this like super welcoming, but also like, no, we're here for serious business. Like, this is, it's a social ride, but we're social riding at 32 at the front and pulling and learning how to rotate and things like this. Since then, I joined the board of Now. And so now it's Greta, myself, and Aster who are on the leadership board, and we're doing events. Sometimes we collab with Queer Wheels, but we also collab all over the Netherlands. And it's great because it really creates this amazing space also for learning. And I'm really stoked for it. I love it. I love what we're doing. Like, every year it seems like our team, our community, it's always hard to call what we are, but like our crew is getting bigger, better. We have so many different disciplines showing up. So like, I've gotten into gravel racing, whereas we have a lot of women who are doing bike packing. We have cross, we have crazy ultra riders who are just out there crushing. And it feels like every weekend something's going on in the chat of like, okay, this weekend we're cheering on these people for crossing the, I don't know.
Like, whoa, okay.
Like, oh yeah, good for you. Never gonna do it, but yay. So like,
there's always something really cool going on.
It's crazy, and it's super cool. So Now is it's fully it's not my job, it's just my part-time passion, and I do it with 3 other women who are amazing, and we have a really big community of everybody showing up. It turns 5 in August, which is very cool.
I can't believe that. It's crazy. I was so happy when Now started. I'm friends with I'm not a founder either, but I was riding at the beginning, and Now it's been a really amazing thing, because there just was not this place for us back then, and we're still one of the only ones, I think.
It really is. It was definitely one of the original like, I would say, like, non-official clubs, and specifically focusing on marginalized genders, or women and non-binary people. And it's great, and it's super safe. I love it because it's also like, it's safe physically. Like, we're very
strict.
Road signals are very important.
Yeah, we're very strict on how to ride, and we, it's really nice because we have some people who are like on the cusp of getting to that level, and we say, okay, come, and we can just push people up to learn. And it's great because not all women and non-binary people want to go slow or are beginners. That's a misconception. A lot of people think that women and other people are not strong, that we're not fast, that we're not serious. Of course, we have a great time.
Yeah, we have the most
fun. We have so much fun, but we are still serious riders and should be taken seriously. And that's what I love about Now. And me personally, Now has been it makes me very emotional, because Now has been so supportive of me and my transition. And obviously now I'm like showing up and people are asking whose boyfriend I am, which is hilarious. And I think it's wild for me, but I explain, and most people know who I am. Amsterdam's not a big place, and everyone's always very supportive, and they've been supportive throughout my whole transition. So I can ask for a better community to still be somewhat a part of, which is very nice. And it's where the intersectionality also comes in, because Queer Wheels does a lot of stuff with Now, particularly around Pride, and also during the cyclocross season we do lots of cool stuff. So
damn, guys, there's a lot to dig into.
Yeah.
But no, it's super fascinating because you're sort of catering to different ends of the market whilst also finding this beautiful like connection in the middle, which I think is really special. I guess the bit that sticks with me a lot is that, and it's part of what makes this journey so interesting, which is there's this perception that the Netherlands is like a particularly good place for catering to diverse individuals. And I guess it's probably got that status because it's seen as like cosmopolitan, maybe?
Yeah, and I think it was the first country in the world to legalize gay marriage, for example.
Okay, didn't know that.
So
Hot tip. I did not know that.
yeah,
as well.
the Netherlands was one of the first country in the world to legalize gay marriage. That's cool.
Okay.
So
But your both of your lived experience has been quite different, right? You know, for both of you, it's been quite. You've had to find a space where you belonged, or create one, Seb, and that in itself is a lot of weight for each of you to bear. You know, thinking about the toll it takes to start something, move it forward, and for a time at least until you grew to where you are now, continually explain why you exist. And
yeah, that's. I mean,
I was just like, wow, that's true.
to be honest, yeah, it's the same with Project
Right?
Fearless. Like when I was starting Project Fearless, like I had people be like, "Well, why do we need a space for girls?" Or like, "What what?" You know, and it's obviously progressiveness is a spectrum, right? And so yeah, compared to some countries, the Netherlands is quite very progressive, and I feel very lucky and grateful. But I am always reminded, and almost in a shocking way, yeah, like how, and also Amsterdam is a bubble, right? So like I know from my queer friends, my friend told a story about how she left her very small town only to find her sister's best friend in a queer bar here, and they both were like, and it was like, yeah, they sadly had to leave their town to find this out. But Amsterdam is such a little bubble that you tend to forget the diversity of cycling, that queer people are loud and proud here, whereas in a lot of places in the Netherlands it's not safe or not seen as okay.
Yeah, I agree that obviously, of course, it goes without saying that we are so extremely privileged to live here. You know, we can reasonably do as we please, and it's totally fine. But yeah, there is still unacceptance in society for a lot of LGBTQ plus individuals. Or it's the way I would describe it is that we are tolerated, not accepted.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a nice way to live your day-to-day life. And it's a feeling that I think gets under your skin even when you're not necessarily aware of it. And I think that's something that a lot of the people listening will appreciate in some shape or form, that feeling of, being tolerated as opposed to accepted. And the tangible difference that really is, like from a day-to-day perspective, for people who are essentially oppressed at different levels and at different times. So, yeah, I guess that leads us quite nicely on to Pride Month. So, right now it's 12th of June, time of recording. So we're like bang in the middle. I'm really interested to understand from you guys and from your perspective and from your Dutch positioning right now, like what does Pride mean to the both of you? You know, do you see it, positively? What could be done better? But also, like, how do you feel in Pride Month compared to other months? I suppose that's the intersection I'm interested in exploring a bit.
Well, we're gay all year. But, do you want to start?
Oh God. Yeah, it's a good question, Miles.
Yes.
Also, I think like it's also interesting because Pride is like almost like a 3-month thing in Europe, in the sense that it like is officially June. Like
globally it's June, but everywhere has their
own like big celebrations. So the Netherlands kind of has 2 celebrations. We have the like, let's say, corporate Pride, which is at the beginning of August, and the end of July is really where like the Pride marches happen, the talks happen, the
community activation.
Yeah, that's it. Of Pride happen.
So I've got time to get this out then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the whole. I mean, it's Pride all year. So.
Yeah, and for me, Pride is self-acceptance. It's also self-celebration and allyship. Like that's how I found out. I was saying my stories like earlier. Like I found out I was bisexual because I was trying to be a better ally, and I did more research on the LGBTQI alphabet. And somebody who was the professor was actually incredibly open about explaining these different fluidities and spectrums, and I was like, and I think that's the same with Pride, is that like, and being queer in general, like there is no right way or wrong way to celebrate it. So some years it may feel like, oh, I really want to go out and like really be seen, and some years I'm like, this is more of a everyday experience, or seeing the community at its most like heightened, I guess, and like and beautiful. But I think it's also conflicting for a lot of people when it comes, especially to, like, let's call it corporate pride, where it's like the pride, the rainbow washing that we all are hopefully all aware of happens around this time of year. And I actually think it really just always then shows more how intolerance there is in the world, especially when it comes to showing, like, yeah, last year these people were throwing a rainbow up. Now this year they've completely stripped their sector of their company. So pride for me is about self-acceptance, it's about community acceptance. And yeah, and I guess during those corporate times, it's also about showing up and saying, like, we're still here, we exist in all versions, all levels, all spectrums of the.
Yeah, agreed. I think to build on what Merida said, for me, I think particularly now it feels very bittersweet because I'm incredibly proud of who I am and of my several coming outs I've had in my life. I'm obviously transgender, but I am also identified as bisexual. Obviously, sexuality and gender are two different things. I have information you can have if people want to know more. But it's hard to be super stoked about it right now when our rights are actively being taken away, which feels really tough. But I love Pride because I love being queer and I love being myself and I love celebrating with my friends and my partners in crime, and I just love being able to walk around and be accepted as myself, or just be myself without anyone batting an eyelid. Eyelids are still batted 100%, even in Amsterdam during Pride. There's still a lot of issues that happen. There's still a lot of assault during Pride, actually. But for me, it means, I guess it's bittersweet, but it does come with it self-acceptance, finding community, and understanding and belonging. I think is very important, feeling like you belong to something, because people always ask me, again, like, why does Queer Wills need to exist? Why does Project Fearless need to exist? Why do we need to have gay bars? Why do we need to have Cycling Culture Club? We are all marginalised in some way, and marginalised people need to have people who understand their experience around them in order to feel safe, which is why it's so important that we still have Pride. There's so many people who can't celebrate, especially right now, because they're at risk. So I feel like I'm also celebrating for people who can. Yeah. I feel very thankful for that.
That's a really strong point. And I think that's, I also want to say that unfortunately, I'm going to miss this Pride ride this year, which I'm devastated about.
It's fine, Merida, I forgive you.
But I made a public announcement that I'm really sad about it.
Stop the podcast, we're leaving.
But I was there for the last 2 years, rain and shine, mostly rain.
Yeah, it always rains on the Pride
Always rain on Pride ride, so that rainbows show up. I think that's why.
We also have a rainbow, though, it's true.
Yeah. But what I love about these events is that, and we talk a lot about protesting, especially now, like what's happening in the US and things like this. And there's many ways to protest. And Pride, as we know, was a protest. It still is a protest. And whether it's a protest and a celebration, or purely you're coming out to protest in a march, but also it's that recognition of we're still here and that we look wildly different from each other. And that's what I loved about Pride Ride, is because I haven't been able to make a Queer Wheels ride because of various schedules and stuff, things like this, but also but Pride Ride I love because you see people were coming from Rotterdam last year and Eindhoven.
People came from Maastricht last year.
Which is
people come from all over the country to come, which is really sweet.
But that's I love seeing all the different riders who show up for that, and that just goes to show that queer is not one stereotype look, it's not one stereotype talk or action or movement, and you can still be part of Pride in your own way. I'm not somebody who feels super comfortable in a protest because of my own anxieties and overstimuli, whereas Pride Ride for me is my way of showing up and being part of the community and celebrating all these different levels of riders, all these people on the queer spectrum, wherever you land, allies. It just feels such a
it's like an everyday bit of protest, I think just people, all of us, again, as Cycling Culture Club, who are marginalised, it's just showing up and being yourself is taking up space is a protest in itself, which I think is very important. And
protest in the best way, right? What better way than together and as a community? I mean,
and doing something
and peacefully,
and that you can share. We all share because we're queer or queer allies, but also we all share because we like cycling, and so it just kind of automatically breaks that ice, which is great. And it's a really fun group.
There's Queer Wills is growing, which is amazing, but there's always lots of people in the Pride Ride, and I hear the same story. It's that I just don't feel comfortable showing up in cycling to anything, And I think that's so sad. But at least for this one day, people can show up and feel that they belong.
And bring their friends. Like, I loved last year.
And their parents.
Yeah, the people from, like, last year, there was a guy who, from Maastricht, which is a 3-hour train ride. Like, it's not an easy train ride, to ride in the rain for Pride Ride last year. And he brought his, like, 4 best mates who were not part of the queer community, but, like, they were allies.
I remember that,
So it was, like, him, and he was so proud to be there. And this was, like, his space, whereas normally he probably goes into a lot of maybe more straight community rides, or where he's the minority. And so this time he got to be the majority, and his friends came as, like, support. It was I was like, yes, this is what it's about. And his friends were also super stoked to be there, and, like,
having that sense of being, it's okay to just be 100% yourself on a ride. It's just, I'm sure you know, Miles, it's just an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Well, actually, I can completely appreciate why that would be the best feeling ever, but it's pretty rare from my experience that people get that. And it sounds like you guys get it a bit, but also, like, to be honest, like, you get it, like, in the true sense of freedom, like maybe once a year, or maybe, you know, a couple of times a year, which is, it's not really okay, is it, if you break it down? Like, you talk about, you know, this is Pride Month, but we're, you know, what about the rest of the year? And it's the same sort of argument, you know, I'll often have around Black History Month, and it's just like, what about the rest of the year? And it's like, we have become okay with it being allowed to be this time period. And I think we need to, as we're all doing in our respective ways, try and break those boundaries and make it something that doesn't need its own little period. It's all, you know, it's your lived experience every day, so why should you have to hide it? I mean, when we were talking in advance, you mentioned about, you know, creating safe spaces with your respective communities, and I think that's really, really key here, because there's so many people that do not feel that they can be their true and authentic selves for all the reasons that we know. And Pride, but also your group rides and your meetups and your moments together are what allow those people to feel safe. Like, that's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree that, you know, in an ideal world, none of this would have to exist. I wish that queer rules didn't have to exist. It would be really nice if anybody could show up to a group ride and there would be no homophobia, no transphobia, no other obias, you know, or isms. That would be great, but that's just not the world we live in. And I think it is very intersectional, the idea that we really need people to show up all year, regardless of who you are and what you are being oppressed, how you are being oppressed, especially with this kind of time right now. It's very difficult to put on a one-day event when the next week I might not be allowed into a public bathroom. It feels very, very strange. And I really, really hope that the kind of allyship that we give each other for other topics like women's rights and other people's existence in every day, that we still apply this for queer people as well, because it's very difficult, especially in cycling, where people feel uncomfortable with the lycra. There's a particular kind of like attitude. The wild thing is, now that I've transitioned, I have all this like...
You're getting male privilege.
Yeah, male privilege, don't get me wrong, amazing. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I was like...
10 out of 10. I don't get followed home. I don't get wolf whistled. Guys like open doors for me. They're like, all right, man, how's it going? I'm like, wow, it's crazy.
You don't get mansplained on a bike?
Oh my God, I don't get mansplained. Nobody wants to change my tire for me. Sad about that. People just leave me, and I can't, having spent 25 years of my life as a woman, it's just like wild to me that this has only happened really in the last year and a half. It's so wild. But there's this creeping sense of the patriarchy, and then having to live up to complete other expectations. Now, my colleagues who are predominantly guys at the moment are like, oh, Seb, you haven't shaved your legs. And I'm like, what? They've never said this to me before. And they're like, yeah, you know, you're a guy now, you need to shave your legs. I'm like, whoa. Absolutely not. And there's like other things that happen even in cycling that are very strange, that happen to guys. And I think that, you know, in the male world, we're also like upholding this horrible thing that we're forcing everyone to live by, and also enforcing it on ourselves, which is really, really strange. And it sucks. It really sucks. And I think the world is really hard for everybody. I think that male privilege is real, especially white male privilege. I think it's really crazy. But yeah, it's also very, very strange that there's then this coming in. I also don't like it, because the way I feel about myself is I I'm transmasculine, I'm transgender, and I feel very masculine, but I'm still quite non-binary. I don't necessarily feel like a guy. So it's really weird that there's all these cycling norms for men that are now imposed on me that I'm also like, and also I just learned how to dap up. Like I didn't even know how to like dap up like this.
I don't even know
like this stuff.
I didn't know that was what it's called. And just explain for the listeners, like what is dapping up?
Well, it's this.
They're not listening. They're not seeing.
Oh, sorry. If you saw a video, so dapping up is like, when you like, and then you grab someone's arm and you pull them in close and you like bap them on the back.
Clap,
like hand,
like a
hand, like that kind of thing. You
a bro clasp.
Yeah, a bro clasp. See, I don't know these things. I was socialized as a woman. I don't know these things.
I think
you should. I think everyone should. It's quite fun, actually.
The more noise, the better.
Yeah, and it's the most intimate thing that like male presenting people do. It's the closest you get to each other. It's like a little hug. I quite like it. But obviously, I don't say that.
You've got all these new names for things that I'm learning today.
Is it a dap up? I don't know. Don't quote me. I don't know. A bro clasp. I don't know. But yeah, by the by, it's been very, very strange to be told one thing about how you're meant to be, and then you go over and you're like, oh, and then there's all this other
more
crap.
Rules. Yeah,
more rules.
We're all, I think that's certainly the patriarchy affects all of us, right? Like, and it affects men really deeply, as we know, with men's mental health or men's stereotypes and things like this. Like, it affects everybody deeply. So that's also part of like my soapbox of like, just because you're anti-patriarchy does not mean you're anti-man. It means that you're anti these systems that have held us all in a place of oppression, including yourself, but also learnings from each side, which is really interesting. So Seb is in our non-binary chat, our No Order Women group chat, because we have a big group WhatsApp group chat. And sometimes Seb reports in on what you've learned from the male cycling culture.
It's very interesting because I feel like a spy.
Yeah.
I feel like a spy because it's very concerning, because you hear things that you would never have heard if you were female presenting or, that didn't look male presenting, and you hear people say things, which is great because I can stand up and be a good ally, because I'm like, hey. Even my colleague said something to me, quite misogynist to me the other day, and I was like, dude, hello, it's me. And they were like, oh. And I was like, dude, that's so not cool. Regardless of who I am, I was like, come on, do better. And then we have a kiki in the Norwegian women chat about what's going on.
We love this building.
Because, the Norwegian women are still like not taking as seriously as they should be in the cycling community here, because it is predominantly men. And but they are an amazing, amazing club that I'm super happy to be part of. But I think this kind of, what I was saying about belonging and rules and stuff.
Safe spaces
is very, very intersectional.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of, that cycling is full of stupid bloody rules anyway, isn't it? But the idea that you've been able to see both sides of the coin and judge for yourself which ones are ridiculous, and, I think that's super interesting, and it's a really unique experience for a lot of people, right? And this idea of you being a spy, I think, that's what we're going to call this episode, I think.
Guys, I'm not
telling all the secrets, but like
some of the secrets, I'm just like, what I heard today? Crazy. But I think there's less than 5 of me in the world, or 10 of me in the world, that exist in cycling.
Oh, I was like, there's way. I'm gonna fact check you on how many non-binary people there are in the world.
A lot, not that many. People,
you're still a special unicorn.
Thank you. I'm very special. That's what I want to hear. But I think, people are very concerned about what's going on, particularly with trans people, and the way that we're being peddled in the media is that we are some big horrible entity that's here to
lurking at every corner.
There's loads of us. We're bringing an ideology. We're trying to turn people trans. We're trying to win at women's sports. None of this is true. We are just normal people trying to live our lives. And it's actually, there's a lot of us, but there's not that many. It maybe feels like there's more now, but it's only because it's being destigmatized. So people are feeling okay to talk about who they are more than they were before. It doesn't mean that there's something, everyone's transgender. You're just born like that. It's it's not a mental illness. It's just something that you are.
I had this conversation with my aunt a couple years ago, and she was like, and she is
it's like being queer, so it's like being queer, so
exactly. And she is like, so what I noticed with Project Fearless, like we work with ages 9 to 14, not in cycling but in sports, and we work with girls and gender fluid kids, and also kids who are deciding or discovering or trying out new pronouns, things like this. And we also see a really big uptick in LGBTQI kids who are, self saying, yeah, I'm lesbian or I'm bi, or
it's like 40% of Gen Z are LGBTQ+.
yeah,
right?
and it's amazing.
40%.
Yeah.
And you're working with this small, this tiny age group, 9 to 14, and and my aunt was like, okay, Merida, and she's, progressive for her older age, and she means really well. And she was like, okay, Merida, like, seriously though, do you think that there's something that's, whether it's in the water or the hormones that we're taking, that now there's more people who are queer? And I said, yeah, I can understand why you think that, right? Like, because it does seem like all of a sudden everybody is queer, and all the younger generations are queer. And as we know, it's just becoming more visible, whether it's social media or mainstream media, of showing more representation and role models. It's being talked about for good and for bad. And these kids have access to to a global tapestry of people who are like them, and some who are a little more vocal about it, and others who are maybe still discovering and things like this. And now it's feeling safe enough to be them true selves and having a name for it, right? Like, that's also really important. Is like, I said, my bisexuality came because I was like trying to know all the names and trying to be a better ally. And then I was like, oh, actually I fall under this. That's really cool. And I can use that terminology now.
I mean, obviously it's totally okay if you don't want to, but I personally feel that for me, having a word that kind of helps me understand who I am and how I'm feeling is really important. Because for example, 3 things I wanted to say is, to add what Merida's saying, is that everything that Merida's saying is true, especially the fact that we are being discussed a lot more. But unfortunately, there's been a 300% increase in the way that LGBT people are talked about negatively in the media. It's increased by 300% over the last 4 years. So the media coverage is bad, and it's maybe showing that there's lots going on and it's really bad, but actually it's very low key. And of course, when you're talking about kids and also just adults, because of the binary way that we're taught that if you're like a guy, you have to dress like this. If you're a woman, you have to dress like this. But actually, so many people want to express themselves in different ways. And that can be with different clothing, with dressing differently, with dressing not in the way that they're given gender at birth is told that they should be. It's called gender expression. It's how you express yourself.
Which is different than gender identity.
Yeah, because gender identity is who you are on the inside, and how you express yourself is how you are seen on the outside. So there's so much play around that now. We have Harry Styles being so revolutionary, not that revolutionary in queer terms, but there's people also Chopper Rowan, like lots of really cool people who are either queer or are just expressing themselves in a way that is different and unique. And I think it's very good for younger people to see that they can dress how they like, they can express themselves how they like. It doesn't mean that they're trans
or gay
or anything. It's just, all right, I like to wear a skirt. I still wear a skirt. It's a kilt, but I still wear a skirt.
I was gonna say, wait.
Love wearing my kilt, don't get me wrong, still got that Scot in me. But, people are just experimenting a bit more, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And, if people are born a certain way, you can't help it. It's not a disease, and it can't be cured. But what I think is very interesting is because people are so funny about this, yet in cycling we have, so many ways that we express ourselves on the bike in terms of clothing and our little tribes and everything. We are a gravel cyclist, or we are an ultra distance cyclist. There's so many tribes that we have that we feel that we connect to. And I think that that's very intrinsic and is said for the queer community as well. Obviously we're all part of the same umbrella, but cycling is so like that as well. So I find it really funny when people are like, oh, you're a closed community, you do this. I'm like, you're a cyclist, right? We do exactly the same thing. Yeah. We tell people how they should be dressing. We tell people what they should be wearing.
How they should look
when they're riding. Yeah.
So that's interesting. Like, just to stop you there, like, you wouldn't dream of.
You're here too, Miles. We see you.
No. It's this. You guys do you. It's all good. But I am interested there because you wouldn't tell in any other space. You wouldn't tell somebody what they should be wearing. But in cycling, you feel like you can. Like, that feels quite interesting. Like, someone might want to express themselves differently on the bike. They might want to wear different lycra. They might not want to wear lycra at all. But as cyclists, we're intrinsically bad at imparting our own opinions on how people should look, and you know, making people feel a certain way, often bad about themselves if they're not in the certain kit or whatever. So how do you like balance that with everything that you've just sort of been through?
I mean, it's funny. I was actually just having a conversation with another Culture Club member, Nathaniel, about this, which is why the Cycling Culture Club is so great. It's like we've never even met, and we're like leaving each other voice memos, like, yes, I totally agree on Instagram. Like, but we were actually talking about like body image in cycling, and how, you know, he's a fuller guy, and he was saying how like in cycling he doesn't feel comfortable because he doesn't fit the mold of what a cyclist looks like. Whereas he was like, in any other sport, American football and rugby, I would be looked at as like fast, strong, tough, like somebody who's going to take you out. Whereas in cycling, like that's not the norm. And so therefore he's considered slow, unfit, unpowerful. And I realized when I was chatting with him, I was like, that's bizarre. This is probably the only sport where men's bodies are judged more, if not equal, probably equal, like let's be honest, as women's. Whereas in sports in general, and women's bodies are constantly being judged. We know that, like, since the beginning of time, we've been told what to look like, what shape is in, what's not shape is in. But I think cycling, when it comes to equality, at least there is a judgment, an equal, which I'm not saying is a good thing, but like the judgment is there on men's bodies as well, which is really interesting. And 100%. And as we know, gatekeeping, and one of the many
and the lack of size inclusion as well.
For kit, for sure. And also just like, lack of representation for models, lack of representation of like just even group rides, like who feels comfortable showing up. And when it comes to like how do we deal with that, like I think that's representation matters, like role models matter. I know I owe you a blog post on this, Miles, but like
I'm saying nothing.
It's there, but like representation matters, like seeing yourself on the bike. And that's why like I give Seb so many kudos, because on the days that they don't want to show up for themselves, they still show up for themselves. And what they're doing is not just for themselves, but for the greater community who's standing behind them, who feels scared to show up. And like I'm crying, but like I remember one time we've had open conversations around now where you were saying like, hey Merida, like I'm not feeling super comfortable showing up to now right now because I don't look like the stereotypical, because I'm not a woman, but like I don't look like the mold that has been showing up to now. And so then it's like, okay, how do we take that on as allies or friends to say, hey, like in a group WhatsApp, like, hey team, like just, you know, we're gonna have new faces coming in, like remember, like we're for non-binary and women, like be open, be empathetic, be like willing to ask pronouns, things like this. And like, to be honest, I was shot in the foot. Like there was some people in our community who were not super stoked that I spoke up like that, because they felt that I was telling them what to do or I was policing. And I was like, oh, this is just how to be a nice human, but you can see yourself out. But it just like, that's what we can do as allies or friends, is say like, have a safe space for the people who have to continuously show up as themselves. What I also for Seb is that like when we have now groups and group rides, and there's sometimes we have people who are, we have group rides of 20 and like, only 5 have been the long-standing members. And so Seb always is willing, and maybe they feel like you have to, which is a shame, but you know, always says, hey, I'm Seb, my pronouns are they, them, they, he, and if you have questions, like let's chat, kind of thing. And I think that's just, it's extra work that Seb has to do, but it's calling people in. And I'm not saying that like, I don't want Seb to have to do that all the time, which is, you know, when I try to step up where I can, but that's also where representation matters. It's not just representing in the models or who shows up on the newest, like, I don't know, in the new Instagram kit. It's also the grassroots representation that's really important.
So wow, it's so nice of you to say. See, but like this also is just so attuned to who Merida is as a person. I'm going to sing your praises now, because Merida literally is so tireless in her allyship for people, but also allyship towards herself. She's the most incredible person. I feel very lucky to know you and be friends with you, that, you know, you do this. And I think I'm going to talk about you now, that, you know, we've had conversations about you feeling that you belong in the queer community, if you don't mind me saying, because I think if you are, and I think also sometimes I struggle with this sometimes now, because people assume I am a certain way because of the way I look. I just have to make my wrist limp because people assume I'm a straight guy. Obviously I don't, but Merida always comes to me saying, yeah, I'm not sure because I feel like not now, but especially when you came out and when we first started dating and stuff, it was having a lot of self-acceptance and still feeling that you could show up and still be welcome in the
we
queer
even
community.
talked about whether I should even be on this podcast. Like, I called Seb actually being like, hey, I'm so grateful you all and honored you all asked me here, but like, actually, I don't feel I have enough lived experience or that I should be the representation. And like, Seb always talks me off this, which is
I think it's wild because Merida is such a great, amazing representation of an openly bisexual, incredibly strong woman. And I think that people should hear your voice. Your voice is very important. And that also goes to say that if you are queer or you're bisexual, however you identify, that's who you are. It doesn't matter who you're dating or how you dress or how you show up. If that's who you are, that's who you are. And I think that we should accept that. We also work incredibly tirelessly and do so many things. And, we've had so many conversations about, obviously you're busy to come to queer rules, but, the fact that we've both felt not welcome even in these spaces that are for us and for different reasons.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
And also feeling like, is this my space? Am I taking up too much space? And just having that in our heads as well, which obviously these are spaces for us as well. And that's how we show up for each other. And I think,
and for others, like, I think you're right. Like us hyping each other up, then at the end of the day, like, I'm hyping Seb up, but that actually creates space for more non-binary people to feel welcome now, or to feel welcome and like, or something like that. And likewise, you hype me up for others to maybe go on their own journey or feel safe to show up to Pride, not just as an ally, but as part of that community.
Yeah, or to come to know every woman and see your cycling journey. It's like, what Merida's done in the last few years is literally incredible in terms of skills, training, and just like being such an amazing rider, an amazing person. It's just such an amazing representation of what somebody could be. So I think by having leaders like Merida in groups as well, us join, it's really important because there's not many of us actually really in the cycling community. So we work very hard to be there. But like you said earlier, Miles, it's very hard. So it's nice that we can also support each other.
Exactly that. I mean, I think every voice helps, and I think that's absolutely critical because some days you just don't feel like it. Some days, like, you just don't have the energy or the capacity to hold that weight or even make space for yourself, let alone anybody else. So to have somebody there on your team, on your side, always with your back, I think it's testament to who you guys are and how you are to each other as friends. But I think it's what this whole community is about. It's about, how can we create space for one another and be there for one another so that individually we all hold a little bit less weight.
Yeah, even if we're nervous, and we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, is that this topic of queer and trans, etc., rights is so polarizing at the moment. But we're all just people, and especially if you are also from a marginalized group, it's really important that we continue to show up for each other because the strength in numbers, and it's only going to get better if we work together and just put out a hand and say, hey, I don't know you, I don't really understand you, but I want to.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good, I want to. Yeah, I think that's like, you're always really good at that, calling people in.
So you're great.
Yeah, but I think we both take turns. Like, I remember there's one time where I was like, oh, somebody wrote this on your Instagram. And you were like, just stop, Merida, like, just disengage. And I was like, okay, fine. But like, but you obviously have had, that because you've lived an experience, you've had to step away and that's really hard. And so I think that idea of calling people in and like you said, Miles, like, if you're scared to make a mistake, it's like, yeah, we're all scared to make a mistake, right? Like,
we all had to learn something. We also weren't born knowing how to ride bikes.
Yeah.
And like knowing all this stuff about cycling. Nobody's born. When I do, for context, I work at Rafa. I didn't mention that, but I'm a floor lead at Rafa Amsterdam. I don't work in the head office, but I've been working there for 5 years now. Crazy. And we do a lot of beginners rides and super social rides that are really lower barrier entry, which we didn't have before I started there. Merida's also helped out a lot with that. But we always say on these rides, nobody's born knowing bike signals. Nobody knows how to clean their chain. Nobody knows that you shouldn't put your bike upside down like this when you're changing your tire. Sometimes I do too. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And it's the same with everything else. You're not born knowing everything and it's totally fine. But, it's cool to be willing to learn.
Yeah, ask questions and open space. And I think that also goes to the testament of the space that you create. Like, I know it, I've seen this in a couple spaces where you create this safe space, right? For your people, the people of the community that you didn't have, right? You've created the space and you want to keep it so close to your chest that you end up gatekeeping others. And that's something I am really strong about when it comes to non-ordinary women. And now it's become kind of like a joke of like, yeah, every week we're doing signals, like, you know, because yeah, unless you went to a cycling club when you were younger and like an actual club where you practice, like you weren't taught signals. And so that's one of the many ways we gatekeep is like by saying, and then behind this person's back, be like, did you see how they ride? They didn't signal. And it's like, okay, or what if we like went up and said, hey, by the way, just for safety of all of us, we all want to be here. We all want to progress together. This is how you do it. And that goes also to allyship. Like it also goes to like talking to your friends. It goes to saying like, hey, like I noticed you made that comment. Why did you say that? Like, let's talk about it. Let's unpack this a bit more. Or like, hey, that actually really hurt me or could hurt a friend if you said that. And so it's that same thing of like, we're not born with it.
Yeah. And sometimes we're scared.
We're scared to make mistakes. We're also scared of, yeah, I know it's like, yeah, we
losing something
or telling people what to do, but it's also like, if you create a safe space, you can tell people what to do. And I mean that in like an open way of like, if you, now we've created that space where I feel totally comfortable and I would feel just as comfortable if somebody came up to me, but like, Merida, you're signaling like an idiot. Like, you know, and be like, oh yeah, sorry, you know?
Yeah, same feedback. I feel like
feedback.
We also give feedback. I think giving feedback in a way that is supportive and tailored to the person is very important. But
ally.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good. I think that as well with these spaces, important to note that giving space to people that haven't had it is not taking away from anybody else. I think people feel that their space is being taken away because they're having to share. And I think that's really sad. So if there's a want for the future that I have, it's just for people to realize that supporting others is not taking away something from you.
Yeah. I always say take space to make space. So if you're taking space, and that's like where, when you were talking to me about me feeling like, oh, should I be on this podcast? And like, it was like, and then it was like, yeah, Merida.
Like,
like,
this painting is basically bisexual.
it's a
very bisexual painting.
It's actually fabric, which makes it even better.
Oh, for all the gays and nays listening, there's a very queer painting behind us.
It's quilted.
It's a quilted kind of scene that looks like a swimming pool, but it's very gay.
Yeah, thank you.
App description.
Exactly. But like, yeah, then my belief is take space to make space. And so that idea that like, yeah, I'm going to take the space here because I have something to say and I want to make the space for others to take the space later and empower them, whether that's by showing up as myself or empowering them by saying, you can do this, or giving a signal or hyping them up or something. Like that's also, both being an ally, but also pride, I think is take space to make space. So that's when it circles back to like, what is pride? I think that's like this idea that we're celebrating, we're protesting, or we're taking space to make space for the future generations. So
It's perfect. I think it's a perfect circle to draw as well. And I think I always like to round up every conversation with actually, what is that one bit of advice that you'd give to somebody trying to enter cycling and stay in cycling? Hopefully, you know, what would you tell that new person to make them feel like they belonged?
Oof, that's a big one. Gosh.
I feel like they belonged in cycling. Reach out to No Ordinary Women or Queer Wheels or Cycling Culture Club.
Yeah,
we'll give you a hype up.
Damn good start.
There,
we'll give you a hype
up. We're queer.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say go find your community, but like I recognize how lucky we are that we have so many communities to choose from here. So yeah, I would say, even if you are by yourself, like if you're in a space that doesn't have a community that you want to join, reach out to a community that inspires you. Ask them, hey, like, can you just give me some kudos? Can you just give me some hype? Or like, I love what you're doing. Like, any chance you're going to be in Berlin, or any chance you're going to be here? Like what Cycling Culture Club does, where we all kind of throw in like, hey, I'm going to be at this race. Because it is like, even if we're not there with you physically, we are with you behind you.
100% we're there.
And also just being open to, we have a lot of people who reach out and now of like, hey, I'm just beginning, where can I go? And so also it's about finding, if you are a community leader, finding a network to pass people around to. And that's really important, is that like, we get a lot of beginners who aren't ready for now rides, but are perfect for either Queer Wheels or ride out to beginner rides or beginner rides in the city. So as a leader, also know your space to help others. And I would say if you're just starting, find people or places in community spaces that inspire you and reach out to them and be vulnerable, share with them what you want and ask. There's no shame in asking for a little hype.
No,
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Find me on Instagram, I'll hype you up.
Can always rely on you to hype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think Yeah, I think to build, firstly, as usual, I completely agree with everything Merida said. I don't really have much to add. But I think when it comes to cycling, and I say this quite often to people who maybe I'm helping with cycling kit for the first time, they're like, oh yeah, but I'm not a cyclist. I'm like, you're a cyclist. If you're riding a bike, even that's to work, or up 1.2, sorry, but you're a cyclist. And you are allowed to be a cyclist. You're allowed to take up space. Mm-hmm. If you're riding a bike and you love riding your bike, regardless of how, what, where, you're a cyclist and you're allowed to call yourself that, and you're allowed to take up space in the sport.
It's great advice, guys. From the heart.
High five.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It was good.
Thanks for this, Miles.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It's my absolute pleasure. I mean, I never get off one of these and don't feel inspired and grateful that this community exists, and grateful that people like yourselves are here holding the roof up and bringing the hype for everyone. It's so important, and I'm superbly grateful for the honesty and the context and the energy. I think it's exactly what the world needs. So
well, thanks for creating a platform.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for making this platform. I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my goodness me, this is like what we need. It was amazing. I reached out. I was like, oh my God, I just want to be part of this. It's so cool. I was like so into it, because you don't see it very often. So it's really, really nice to be able to feel part of something and have your voice heard, and also hear the voices of others, which is incredibly important.
I love it. I love the voices of others.
Thank you so much, Miles.
Yeah, thanks. Good job. High five to you.
Thanks, guys. High five. And for those who happen to be watching on YouTube, Merida is currently sporting our brand new merch tee.
Turn around?
Yeah, go on.
There we go.
Ta-da.
So as an audio description, because that's what we're doing today, I have collaborated with Swiss Cycling Legacy, and Tom, big shout out to Tom over there, has worked really closely with me over the last few weeks to create a little t-shirt that goes towards connecting the community, and I'm looking forward to everyone showing up at meets with matching uniform. And also the profits that come out of the tees all go towards our culture fund, which is dedicated to supporting riders with their projects, whether that's I can't afford to get to this gravel race, or hey, I want to run this group ride in this city. And we're dedicated to helping people build community, and this is the start.
Yeah, sick.
Super cool. I'm as soon as we get off this call, I'm ordering mine.
Glad to hear it. Tom will tell me if you don't, Seb. So
yes, I want one. Oh my gosh.
No, they're so cool.
I have FOMO.
Yeah, you should.
I'm good for it. I have FOMO.
Good. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the evening, and I'll catch you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.